Good morning. So let me explain the adventure of the Speckled Band. You can just have a glance at the PDF. I'm going to explain the summary of the story. So just check the summary. So before that, I have provided some detailed description of all the major characters from the story. Just you can have a readout and then start the summary. So summary, which says the story is narrated by Dr. John Watson, Sherlock Holmes' loyal companion. So he was his loyal companion, okay, and he was also a former doctor. I'm talking about Dr. John Watson. And Sherlock Holmes, he was a very good detective, just as Einstein was a very good scientist. So he and his companion, who recalls one of the most unusual and terrifying cases. So Dr. Watson is just narrating his story, their story. The case involves a young woman named Helen Stoner who visits Holmes early one morning. So Helen Stoner is a lady who visits his house one morning, terrified for her life because the same thing happened with her sister. I'll get to know. The sister of Helen Stoner, okay? So she seeks his help, fearing that she might meet the same mysterious fate as her own twin sister, Julia. Julia is her twin sister. They used to live together and things happen with her sister. Actually, the main case in the story, the main thing is about the snake, the adventure of the Speckled Band. Speckled Band is nothing but a venomous snake. So let's see. Now let's see about Helen Stoner's story. So Helen explains that she and Julia lived with their stepfather, Dr. Grimesby Roylott, a violent and aggressive man who was once a doctor in India. So she says that she and her sister Julia, they used to live together with their stepfather, who was Grimesby Roylott. And he was very violent, very bad in nature, aggressive man who was once a doctor in India. Okay, in India he was once a doctor. Following the death of their mother, Roylott became the sole guardians of the girls and moved them to his ancestral estate, their forefathers' place. मतलब अपने घर में चले गए सब लोग, मतलब पुराने घर में जहाँ पे उनके दादाजी परदादाजी होते थे, and very can say violent, a ruthless house, very old house, can say everything broken, ventilators broken, disturbed, things are disturbed. So many things happen in that house. Let's see. He was known for his uncontrollable temper. He had a very high temper, the father, and had even served time in prison for violent behavior. So he was also a prison man. He spent his life in prison for some period because of his violent behavior with his family members and all. So 2 years earlier, just before Julia was to be married, she died under mysterious circumstances. So Julia died, before 2 years earlier, just before Julia was to be married, she died, under mysterious circumstances. So on the night of her death, what happened on the night of her death? Julia had complained about hearing a strange whistling sound. So she heard something, whistling sound, maybe a sound of an animal or a reptile or something else, whistling sound. Later, Helen found her sister in agony, barely able to speak. Julia's last words were, "It was the Speckled Band." Something attacked her. So it was nothing but the snake, the Speckled Band, the venomous snake. So she was in agony. Before anyone could understand the meaning of her words, she died. Nobody understood her words. What is that thingy, like the Speckled Band? So she was gonna find out, and that's why she went to Mr. Holmes. Now Helen is engaged and has been forced to move into Julia's old bedroom due to renovations. Now after she was engaged, she has been forced by her stepfather to move into Julia's old house, old bedroom, due to some renovations. See, after marriage there might be some renovations of the new houses, new rooms. That's why she was forced to move into her sister's room. She begins hearing the same eerie whistling noises that Julia had described. Now she also started hearing those sounds, those mysterious sounds, the ones which her sister once noticed. Fearing for her life, she seeks Holmes' help. Then she went to Holmes' house. Next, see about investigation at Stoke Moran. Holmes and Watson, friends, accompany Helen to the Stoke Moran estate to investigate. Now they went to the house, the old house, for investigation. They find that Roylott is a menacing figure who immediately threatens Holmes. Now the stepfather is very cruel. He started threatening Holmes. Okay, but the detective remains unfazed. So he was just on his duty, unfazed, and he was just going into the house, and then he started examining the rooms. So examining the estate, they discover several strange details in Helen's bedroom. Now what things did they notice? A ventilator connecting her room to Roylott's room. There was a ventilator that connected her room to her stepfather. Okay, something happening, I mean, so that things might go from one room to the other. A bell pull that does not function. Now there was a bell pull that never functioned, so old. A bed fastened to the floor, ensuring that the occupant cannot move it. Now there was a bed, okay, that was fastened to the floor. It was tightened to the floor so that no one can move it. So these oddities convince Holmes that something sinister is at play. Some deadly, ghostly things are happening in the house. Why was the bed connected to the floor? Maybe with some, cement or some glue thingy, adhesive thingy. He connected the bed to the floor. Then there was a bell which did not function. There was a broken ventilator, which got connected from her room to her father's. So he and Watson decided to spend the night in Helen's room to observe any unusual occurrences. Okay, then he started. So in the next step, they found some discovery, the terrifying discovery. The late at night. Now see, they stayed at the house, at the estate. So late at night, as Holmes and Watson wait in silence. They were observing. They didn't sleep. They were observing everything in silence. They suddenly heard a low whistle. That whistling sound came out. So Holmes immediately springs into action. Then he started his action, striking at the bell rope with his cane. So he just connected the bell rope with a cane. Moments later, a horrific scream echoes through the house, and there was an echo through the whole house. Okay, sounds are coming out from the house. Rushing to Roylott's room, they find him dead. Now they found him dead. The stepfather, the aggressive, the violent stepfather, they found him dead with a venomous swamp adder coiled around his head. Now what is that venomous swamp adder? It's nothing but the venomous snake. There was a snake which coiled around his head. Okay. So Holmes deduces that Roylott had been using the snake to kill Julia and had intended to do the same to Helen. So he found out that Roylott, who was a mad father, he had been using this snake to kill, his own stepdaughter, and intended to do the same to Helen. The same thing he thought he might attack to Helen. He trained the snake to slither through the ventilator into the bed while the whistle had as a signal and lured it back with a saucer of milk. He introduced some of his tricks. Okay, so he used to just whistle, and then the snake would come out, and then after attacking, the snake would go and had a saucer of milk, because snakes, they love milk to drink. The bell pull served as a bridge for the snake to descend into the bed. Now the bell it served as a pathway. मतलब एक रूम से दूसरे रूम जाने के लिए जो एक रास्ता चाहिए था, वो मतलब तुम्हारा वेंटिलेटर से लेके बेल तक लेके पूरा अटैक करने के लिए जाता था. So however, when Holmes struck the snake, it turned back on his master and killed him instead. Now what happened this time? The snake attacked his own master. This time it didn't work properly. So things happen like that. वो होता है ना, दूसरों के लिए रास्ता तुम वो करते हो, गड्ढे खोदते हो तो खुद गिर जाओगे. So this thing only. So this is about the summary. Enjoy studying the chapter now and then learn the question answers.